Have the pressures of life stresses got you bogged down and depressed? Have you lost your hope to live purposefully? Are you in distress and life seems meaningless and troublesome? It's time to regain your mental wellness and receive power to thresh all anxiety. The IPA Threshing Flow Helpline is here for you. Join us on Hope 103.1 FM every other Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. with me, your host, Bishop Esther Baptiste. Greetings again in the Trirune deity whose we are and whom we serve. Welcome to the Threshing Flow Helpline, wherever you're joining us from, whether it is in the diaspora or in the island locally here on Grenada. We welcome you to the Threshing Flow Helpline. This is where we thresh all anxiety in a world of mental health, anxiety, stress, depression. We can thresh your anxiety right now. As you listening on to this program, joining us, share the live with somebody else. Invite them to come on because, very good information is being shared here on the live. So in this hour of engagement, as we engage you, maybe you're coming from to work, maybe you had a hard day, you're going to pick up your kids, whatever it is, and you're getting ready to go home. You can join us, turn on your device. Hope 103.1 FM is the frequency to join us here. Of course, you can connect on YouTube or the Facebook page. Of course, we're here for the Threshing Flow Helpline. Again, in the studio, Pastor Ruth is with us. We are continuing our series. And if you have been, benefiting and learning from these exercises, do send us a message and let us know that you are connecting with us and you're getting good information. And of course, we encourage you wherever you are to support Hope 103.1 FM. We are now on 94.1 as well. So across the island, if you're not able to get the frequency of 103.1, you can always switch to 94.1. Make your contribution, make your donation. If you have been blessed by the program, we encourage you to keep Hope FM on air, as blessing many homes and families as best that we can. And we're looking forward for the body of Christ, those who are benefiting from this program, to support us here at Hope 103.1 FM. And of course, in the studio with me again to continue the discussion from the book, first-time author, Pastor Ruth Roberts, on the falling princess, bound only by silence, breaking the chains of sexual violence. And of course, I will ask her to greet us this lovely evening.
Well, I would like to say good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you're joining us from. It's such a pleasure for us to just be here again. We really enjoy this experience because we know that people are learning, people are growing, and there's a consciousness, that, just maybe in your vicinity, at your job, at the church, someone has been, abused one way or the other, and there's something that you could do about it if you really take the lesson. So I think last week we were talking about how can I get rid of that stink. It was a really powerful discussion, and it talked about the importance of introspection. Sometimes our preconceived notions are misleading. It talks about the hidden issues and that persistence paid off, and recognizing the impact of past experiences in the healing journey. And we looked at this young woman who trying to find something that was stinking in her kitchen. And because she thought because of a meal that she had prepared that was cod fish, we call salt fish, right? She was looking in that direction, but then realized that it was actually a tray of eggs, one that had gone bad. So we use that analogy to explain how along the healing journey, sometimes we have so much misconception, so much ideas that are rooted from the past. And I think we learned a lot from that lesson. It was a very deep and enriching experience. And I myself got to think twice about certain things as we engage with persons. Let's not judge too hard. Let's look at the root cause and let's understand that people are indeed struggling. So today, Yeah,
even
moving to
before you
chapter.
trace it.
Right.
Today's
A warmth I have never felt before. For the first time in a long time, I experienced a sense of peace that warmed my heart. Little did I know it was just the calm before the storm. One by one, the guests departed, and eventually we were left alone. Alone. It was as if everything except Sandra and I was summoned to leave the room, a mystery that still baffles me even to this day. I had no idea that this would mark the beginning of the horror that followed. What were the odds that this was the only time my mom let me out of her sight, as if that day has been meticulously planned? In any case, I remember Sandra calling me to a bedroom. At 6 years old, she seemed completely normal to me, but she was not. And this is where my story began. She asked me if I would like to try something new, assuring me that it would be fun. I was enthused, even though I had no idea what I was getting myself into. The innocence of a 6-year-old child and her intrigue in playing games was precisely what my 12-year-old cousin needed to replay her own sexual experience.
I think we can stop right here. Give the audience a little suspense as to what is about to happen in this narrative.
So we're going back to the beginning. Imagine
Yes.
she's an only child,
Right,
and she has an overprotected mother.
right.
But there is this,
As we have in the Caribbean all the time.
Yes, like they're watching us hawk, right? But there is this dichotomy between what she's experiencing at home, what she's experiencing at school, and in other words, as a 6-year-old child, she has to mask herself. Imagine, she's being trained, like she said, like a soldier,
Right.
to mask. Do not cry. Do not look sad.
Right.
Do not let anybody know what's going on at home. So the situation at the house became the training ground or the open door for what would happen later on.
Right.
And in a vast majority of the cases, she said she learned silence by what happened in her mom literally said to her, do not go to school and cry. Don't let anybody see your tears. Don't let anybody make you see you sad. And anybody ask you, I remember a friend of mine, she used to say to her son, don't talk mommy's business, you know. And I remember one time, the little children, they talk, they always talk. He said, Miss Ruth, we had malts and we had soft drinks and we had all kind of drinks for Christmas. And then she take a look and she looked at him. And he was like about 4 or 5. And he knew that look so well that whenever she would look at him, he knew he was talking mommy's business and she would give him like a ring mouth or something. And he said to Miss Ruth, but we drank all already. That was like his instant thought about what to say, just so as to protect the information that he was given. And sometimes even as parents, we tend to put our children in these kinds of predicament. But we will see as we go through the story how I'm framing the pretensive double lifestyle can become, a double-edged sword later on.
Because I call it displaced personality. So in a sense that this is not who you really is, but because of the circumstance, you have to adjust. Because, of course, in our resolve as human beings, we have the protective function, survival mechanism, I call it, to be able to guard ourselves from danger, from things that will cause harm to us. And so this is like a survival instinctive mechanism, right, that forces you to become somebody else that you're not, because you have to survive, right? So this home that's filled with violence, that's filled with abusive, a father, spouse, whether they were married or not, this child now has to pretend that it never exists and has to find coping ways to deal with it herself, but also to protect the image,
Yes, the reputation.
the reputation of her family. And
so I mean, what a huge responsibility for a 6-year-old child.
and you're grafted into that very early. So.
And in that way, I think her mother was so overprotective because she was trying, even in her unconscious way, to protect the child from what she herself was going through,
yes.
and she was not able to talk about. So in a lot of cases, we find individuals who themselves have been abused, whether it's sexual abuse, emotional, whatever abuse that they go through, they themselves would have gone through. So they become like a kind of a protective dog, protecting her pups because she doesn't want no one else to do to her child what she doesn't know is by trying to make the child silent, she is teaching that child to be silent. And now, because children's perception of reality is that once a child sees something, they believe it to be real, she's now being groomed to be silenced. And this is where this young lady issues started.
And of course, we can, as Caribbean people, we can kind of identify with this family. So many families, well, not just in the Caribbean, but around the world perhaps, but we know in our Caribbean circles that this is a reality where you have, people that are prone to alcoholism, men that are prone to alcoholism. They will go home, they will disrupt their families, they will, abuse their significant others, their intimate partners, and the children become the hub of that environment. And of course, with the young mind grooming into those things at a very early age, it's very difficult to be able to curb that when they would have gotten older. So we also want to speak into, sometimes our protection as parents is not rooted in the right things or in the right motive, because this child is really a protection for her. Okay? It's not that she's trying to guard the child in a genuine way as parents. So we don't want to say parents should not guard their children. Or in fact, we are the custodians
today, more than ever,
for guarding our children more than ever. But not for the wrong reasons. Right? And this was not a very good reason. In fact, the child should have been taught to speak out and to,
But then how
implications, right?
I mean, how could she be taught to speak out? Because if you teach her to speak out, she will speak mommy's business. And look at how the difference in the environment affected the child. So at home, there were war and just fighting and abuse and no love. And then she's in this environment where she starts to feel for the very first time love, like, togetherness. And so the almost like the atmosphere is set for what is about to take place. It's like she's coming from a place of when you grow up, you didn't have love, people didn't tell you they love you. It is easy for a young woman or a young man to believe anybody who will come and say, I love you, because they did not have that. So it was about fun, it was about enjoyment, it was about the family. So the environment was so conducive for what's about to take place.
Right, and it is interesting and almost frightening that the very environment that's supposed to keep you safe is itself a danger spot. That is, I don't know how, if parents out there, sometimes you may think, well, what I could do? I try to shelter them and they might still be in danger. I don't try to shelter them and they will still be in danger. What is the solution to that? It's like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place as far as children is concerned, because sometimes, the very environments that are meant to harness the greatness inside of us become the ones that cause us to develop displaced personality.
But
I call it
think about it. She's saying how she grew up in such a sheltered environment, consistently monitored by an overprotective mom. But is that really true? But is that really true? Because at home she was being exposed to violence. What was she sheltering her from? Like what was she was really sheltering her to make sure she's always with her, so that she would not maybe talk what was going on. So for her, like you said, maybe she did not overprotect her because she didn't want her to be harmed necessarily.
Right.
But she didn't want her to expose what
Right.
was going on in the home. So the motive wasn't
Was not
right.
good,
You understand? So
And
she
you know,
just
a lot of
kind of
parents
smothered
too,
her more than
we
protect
have
her.
that sometimes almost subconsciously, where because we had a bad experience or because we have gone through something, our life before faced this tragedy or trauma, and without even understanding, reflecting back on that, we just make decisions for our children. We say,
Right.
well, you can't go outside because if you go outside, you're going to get harmed or this or that. And we tend to create that disciplinary framework around our fears, I want us to talk about that a little
Yes,
bit more
true.
because this is vital for what we are going to unfold that's happening in this narrative, because how do we frame our, bringing up of our children? How do we frame how we culture them, how we nurture them, how we instill values in them? Is it out of fear because
Right.
this happened to me? And of course, if you see somebody falling up a ditch, you wouldn't go and fall in a ditch too. You know.
Right.
Caution them, there is a ditch ahead. But sometimes the caution is not caution that you are going to get hurt by the ditch, but you not wanting them to go through what you went through, not so much in a positive way, but also in a negative way.
I mean, okay, let's think about it like this. So, for instance, you have a child. Children are prone to jumping around, especially boys. They will go up on some kind of height, they will
Right.
jump down, they will run, they will, And if you look at the way, say, Grenadians, like, kind of culture their children, we call it discipline. So, it's a
Right.
child, come and sit down, stop running,
Yeah.
don't
Behave.
do that, don't
Seen
do
and
this,
not heard.
behave yourself, whatever. But we're in another context, maybe in a North American context, you will have the child going in the cupboard, taking a spoon and two spoon and beat the pot, and the child being able to explode, to jump. We call them crazy. We say, well, why would you allow your child to do that? They're not disciplined, stuff like that. And then it's like the curiosity of the children is being stifled because you don't want them to do this.
Yeah,
You
the
come, boy,
imagination.
sit down, stop running. So, like my husband will say, they can't run inside, they can't run outside. Where are they going to run?
In their dreams.
Right. So you're in a wide open pasture, and the child is taking a running, and you will still be calling, come. So in a way, we are like that by nature, especially as Caribbean and Grenadian parents. But at the same time, we do not venture out. We do not use our curiosity. So the imagination of the children, the things that they want to do, make noise, jump
you have
around.
to strike the balance.
Which you have to be able to strike the balance between allowing the child to explore and discipline.
Right.
If a child is
And
running up and down,
safety
that
as
means the
well.
child.
Yes.
Right. That means the child, because children have no sense of danger. They
Yeah.
just will do any crazy stuff. At the end of the day, you could guide them, but still allow them to be calm, still allow them to think, to feel. And then you will say, within the context of economic context as well, in North America or some other countries, I mean, to buy back a pot is no problem.
Yeah.
But for us, if we have to come buy back a pot,
break the glass and
if we're going to take a glass and
don't
just
have more,
smash
right?
it to the ground,
Yeah.
it's not so easily accessible for some
Yeah,
people. So,
right.
I mean, they would want to protect their glassware, they would want to protect their pots, whereas some other cultures might just allow the child. And then you find that the children who are allowed to explore, they develop faster. They learn to swim, they learn to run, they learn to play music, they learn to do so much other things, where for us, when we get a little older, we have to go and learn. Whereas the natural inclination of the child is when you really have the aptitude to learn by exploring.
Because you and I know when we were growing up, the milk was in a special case, a special cabinet, lock and key.
That's right.
The sugar was kept away. And if you venture in, you see, and it made children thieves.
Yeah, because for me, I loved sweet milk and coconut. So you'll always go and just there was a hole in the pan, and they would just put it to your head, and you just. And sometimes,
and you
by the time you finish doing 3 or 4 times, it was empty. and at that point, well, you lick sure.
You lick sure.
You lick sure because
so things like
that one
we
small
know,
tin of milk was supposed to make tea for
Tea
everybody.
for everybody,
But
right.
like the sweetness and the attraction to it, the more you pull, the more you feel sweet, the more you want
you
to.
can never taste milk in your life.
And the milk was not so accessible. So in the same way, sometimes we find that there's so many restrictions restrictions over what we can and cannot do. So we grow up with so even another thing that really baffles me sometimes is that even as adults, we do not know what we want.
Truth.
Because we were not permitted to choose our own clothes. Like you didn't get to say, I want to put on that. I remember I had this dress, just one maternity dress, one dress. I go to church with it every single. My grandmother gave me that dress. And like you had no option to say, well, which dress you want? You know, it's the one dress and the one shoe. So when it's all said and done, it's like you, and then you grow up thinking, I remember I think that I was going to school, I started to walk, I would buy my little, Broadway skirt with a little cord and footy collar, and I wanted to buy him little shoes, and because before I stopped going in the garden, I go downtown and walk because I find this garden wasn't making sense. I'm making money, and it developed something different in you. It frames sometimes a lot of what you become later on. So,
and that's why it's important for us to go back to our own childhood and understand that these are things that have cause us to go a different direction than we really should have gone, so that we can make sense out of, hey, this is not really who I was. And when I understand this, because our parents too, they even know for themselves.
Well, I mean, out of necessity, because imagine
because this is survival.
This is survival. They don't have the money. We get money for school, and we get something to go to church. Like we don't have the luxury of going to sports or going to fair or having nice dandy dress or nice shoes. It was church clothes and school clothes. And that we were sure that before the school year started, we had our Chinese shoes or what, dog muzzle or whatever it was, and then we had our skirts and tops. Like we know we had school stuff and church stuff, know. But I mean, at the end of the day, when you look back, you realize that they covered the necessity and they taught you to be contented with some things.
So there's some good things.
So there's some the aspects of it, because they didn't have the luxury with 6 children. And everybody is living at your house who are not your children. Obviously, finances might not be that. So we think about it like that. But the way we are groomed, that's what we really want to focus on.
And that's the crux of the matter.
And in this situation, different children will adapt to the situation differently. In the same situation, within the same household, different persons might come out with different effects, so to speak.
And I mean, pulling from what we spoke about last week, you have to search for the hidden causes of your personality dissfunction or your character dysfunction. Because I believe this is a fundamental belief of mine, how we've been shaped, groomed in our childhood, cultured in our environment has altered us to become almost like white on rice, it's like almost like dark day and night. 2 different kind of personalities. So it's very important for us to go back to search for this thing.
To look to
now that we understand what to search for and how to search, and that's what we're doing, folks, helping us to identify the things that have, occasion our shift in personality or shift in behavior, the things that have happened to us and why they have happened to us, and frame that narrative so that you can go back and redeem yourself, so to speak, or redeem the lost years, or redeem the personality that you had as God aligned you, right?
And like we said last week, sometimes the personality shift based on the experience happened so long ago. They do not know what they used to be or what they... Like if you see a child...
You don't have a parallel for what you should have been.
Right. You see a child bubbly, running all over the place, laughing, children are literally giggly, and then all of a sudden you see that child just change in personality. Maybe that child become reserved and that child stop speaking, or that child, and I think a lot of the times parents are not... aware, they are not paying attention to subtle signs that could tell you that something's going on with your child. And I think if parents have eyes to see, because if the issues are dealt with early, it will cause less trauma. So that's very important for parents to look at your child. You would know the kind of child that you are. And sometimes we shut them down so much, we don't know that they are shut down because we shut them down or because something else is happening. Because I remember for me, I was very talkative at one point as a child. And like they always would say to you, you talk too much, quiet, be quiet. And when I went to high school, I was very quiet. Very, very quiet, because it's like you think in your mind, they tell you enough time that you talk too much, so you stop talking, you
Yes.
know. So a lot of the times, the way we deal with our children or something else that might be going on with them may cause subtle or obvious changes. And for parents who are paying attention, they will see and be able to help their child, both male or female, as early as possible. So this child
Yes.
was smothered. But she was, apparently she was smothered for the wrong reason, not because of protection. This is the first time she's venturing outside of the
Scope.
protection of her mom. And mom is right in the house with everybody else, but she's being whatever we will see happening right under their noses.
And I think we can end the suspense a little bit and go back into
So-
the narrative. Let's see what's
so-
happening with this young child.
So she calls her into her bedroom and she says, let's play a game.
So this is
right?
a cousin.
This is her 12-year-old cousin.
Cousin,
She's now 6, right?
Both of them actually are kids. right?
Little children. And then where would a 12-year-old child get what she...
Right.
Before I go
That's
on,
another
where would
narrative.
a 12-year-old child get these ideas?
Right.
Children are not born with that.
Yes.
Somehow she experienced it. I think that's why the innocence of a 6-year-old child and her intrigue in playing game was precisely what my 12-year-old cousin needed to replay her own experience with
So this
sex.
is a game, right? This comes in the form of a game.
Game,
And
right?
of course we
so it's
know
not
childhood
seemingly
games, they can
dangerous.
be-
I mean, children are about fun and about playing
Yeah.
games. So I mean, she was smart enough to say,
Yes.
let's play a game. So I followed her instruction with every detail. Right? She slipped her hand down into my underwear, and every nerve in me lit up with every motion. Her words were, "Do you enjoy it?" I can still hear them being uttered in my ears, and I responded, "I like it." Then she removed my clothing and further tried other things, asking me to do to her whatever and whatever. And we took turns. Imagine a 6-year-old child and a 12-year-old child took turns with each other. And it was almost as if she was seeking confirmation as she asked, how I felt. And then when I told her I liked it, then she continued, of course.
So which one feels better?
Right. So she further used, other means with which to, get closer into her private areas and so on. And at that point, she said, my little body burst into a kind of fire I could not define or control. A fire that continued to burn for the next few years of my life. Wow. So let's pause for a moment.
Yes.
I kind of skip some of the
I know.
more
the graphics
more
of
graphic
it.
details, because this is a 6-year-old child who has no idea, and for the first time in her life, something is being awoken inside of her that she did not know exists. But in a little 6-year-old mind, this is a game.
Right.
But the fact that it's a game doesn't stop it from having the effect. She
Effects.
said that it lit a fire that will burn like a wildfire, like a fire that she could not control. She said that she could not define because she did not know what it was, and she could not control. Right? And
This is a powerful analogy. of
right,
the fire effect.
it's almost like a fire. So something woke up inside of her,
Yes.
right? So she asked me to get dressed, and it was as if we had come back to reality, as if nothing had happened. She asked me to, clean myself up, wash my hands, and we would go back as normal. But how could I go back as normal? What was normal? When I was when feelings I had never experienced before surged in me as if they were not ready to calm down. How does a 6-year-old body experience such a thing and can enjoy such pleasure? Horror in plain sight. The overprotected child was exposed to what she was being protected from, and in that moment, everything changed.
So I think we can stick a pin right here, okay? Because this is not a childhood game, but it was posed as a game to lure the child
Into sexual
into
experience.
the sexual encounter.
And imagine there were 2 girls, and it's a
Two
girl and a
girls,
girl.
right?
Yeah.
So you have one 12, one
6.
6, okay? Half a dozen of the other.
Yeah, 6 or 1,
Dozen
half a
and half a
dozen of the
dozen.
other. Yeah.
Right. And this is a serious case here because this mother is not protecting this child against sexual abuse. This mother is protecting this child from exposing her, right, from physical abuse
That's
or whatever
right.
other abuse that she was going through as a mother. But she never envisioned that even this paradigm, this narrative will happen. Maybe she think otherwise in terms of her protection, what this child could mean in terms of exposing her business at home. But here is this child right in the house.
Experiencing with everybody else,
with
just
everybody
in a different
else.
room.
Yeah. I mean, and I like what she said earlier on, is as if this day was planned. It seems like
a setup.
orchestrated. So orchestrated. Now we can talk about the spiritual aspect of this, because this is not, I mean, the Bible said time and chance happens to us all. But this was concocted by darkness, because it seems almost like, as you say, planned, as if intentional. This has to roll out.
And that's how the tentacle of rape
Wow.
can seem to snatch. It's like snatch them in broad daylight. Almost
In
like, how
vulnerable
is it
moments.
possible that the whole family is in the house, everybody disappears?
Because
And
children,
then,
maybe they're just doing
and then the
playing.
child, and then this is happening. This is not happening somewhere else. It's not happening
Else,
in the
yeah.
road. It's happening right within the safety
of
of
the
a home.
home.
How can rape and sexual assault find its way into this protected shield and steal, like literally steal a child's innocence that can alter that child's life forever?
But you see, the devil is strategic as well, because not only that he has set up multiple ways for children at those very young age, vulnerable age, to become smeared sexually, because we know even as children in our own community, there were people who will literally, as if it's mischief, take them and bring children together and have them exposed. And we started, as you said in one of the chapters, with pantsing. Right, but they will literally
One of these
play
days we'll
these
talk about
games.
pantsing.
These
Being
cousins
serious.
and these relatives will literally find some dark place in the house or some corner somewhere for when a cousin come by or when a relative come by, and incite them into sexual pleasure. But you think it's your cousin, so they're playing somewhere in the room, or they're playing outside. And there used to be these games that
That's
they
being
used to play
violated.
with games. Run and hide games, hide and seek games that young boys and young children like us used to play, right? And our parents have no idea that these games are being played. We
But
come
at the
back.
same time, it is altering perception,
Yes, many persons were
personality,
snared
experiences.
because of it, and this is a similar thing that's happened here.
Yes.
In this story,
Oh, this
of
is heavy.
this is deep, because sometimes little children, they experiment with each other. It doesn't take a big man, a big adult person to do the damage. It's sometimes what we call might be incest, right? Cousins, close relatives, first cousins, second cousins, family member, uncles, aunt. And sometimes we're not even talking about adults here, we're talking about children to children.
And the thing is, the thing is, like, we always like to go to the root cause. So if a 12-year-old child knows what to
Right.
do, where did she get it from?
Right.
That
And
must
this
be the
is
question.
not normal
Where did she
male
get
to
it from?
female, this is
There's two females.
two female. This is
Children.
This is almost, yes, we call same-sex relationship, lesbian behavior, and it's happening there. And of course, as you said, the 12-year-old maybe already cook
That's
in the
right.
thing.
Yeah, because somebody would have
Okay.
done it to her,
'Cause she's so
or she would have
skillful.
seen it
Look
done,
at the
and she
skill.
knows exactly what
Yeah,
she's
look at the
doing.
skill.
So in one part of the book, we describe it as the vampire effect. So it's like she got bitten,
Right.
and then she bites someone else,
She's experimenting
and that
with someone
person
else.
bites someone else, and that's how the thing spreads. Because when she, in order for her to be able to do so,
Right.
so meticulously what she's done, she's literally teaching this child what she has learned. Obviously somebody would have done it to her. So that's a so she said, oh my God.
I mean, those of you out there, you can identify with this this narrative here, and maybe you experience this as a child, maybe you've seen it in other children. Of course, children at this age, at this vulnerable age, I always say it this way, you know, as if you give a child a dynamite, as if you give them a machine gun that has no understanding of how to use this thing. And it becomes, well, it give them the adrenaline rush. Hey, I can shoot. We used to have a culture in Grenada where we have, at Christmas time, people go and buy their gun, you know, the
Call it bow
water
bow.
gun, and everybody bow, 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 and you know, it was
like fun,
nice and
yeah.
fun to have a little gun, you know, to shoot. And then after the revolution, they said, no, we can't continue this gun culture. We have to, you know, and they literally abandoned the selling of guns, and which was a good thing. But these children have weapons they cannot they don't know how to use, right? And they're shooting themselves in the foot, and they're destroying everything else around
In
it.
this case, they're shooting themselves in the head,
Right.
And it really alters the way they think, the way they
Yeah.
feel, the way they see life.
But let's not go
And-
past the idea that what's realistic in this narrative is that they're enjoying this thing,
Right.
right?
I think we must have,
Because,
I
you
think have
know,
a chapter titled, "If It Didn't Hurt, Am I Still a
Still a
Victim?"
victim, yeah.
I guess next
Yeah.
week or some other time we will
Because
deal with
almost
it.
as if they're
Because some people
competing for
think,
who is going to feel better.
but some people think that rape and sexual assault is only something
something
like
dramatic and-
or
yes.
traumatic, or there are some times when the experience, because what she's doing is having a real bodily
Body
experience
experience,
because of
yeah.
the areas that the young
Yeah.
child was touching, you know. So it woke up,
Yeah.
like that's why
And
I
that's
said,
why we
don't
say,
wake up love
yeah,
before time.
That's why we
Yeah.
say, you know, appropriate touch
Right.
and inappropriate touch. Because if that child had gotten an appropriate touch, he would not have woken up
If
all
she
these,
knew
right?
that it was inappropriate, she might have done
right.
some.
But
in
but
her
just
mind,
not
in her
just the
little mind,
knowledge of
she's,
knowing.
she's
Your
playing a
body
game.
also knows. If your brain does not know, your body knows that this is not a normal touch. Because of course, as babies, that's why the mother connection with the baby is so critical, because in that formative stage, touch is very important, right? So that baby learns what appropriate touch is. Now, in some circles, we have, very sad, that babies are being violated. I'm talking about babies,
like that's unimaginable
under 1
for
year
me.
old.
It's
okay?
unimaginable.
Is being inappropriately touched when that child should be having all the paradigms of a good touch. But even your body knows, even if your mind does not know, what appropriate touch is and what an inappropriate touch is. So when she was touched inappropriate in all the wrong places, you know, a vagina area or whatever else, she realized that it did something different to the ordinary
But
touch.
because she had put her in the paradigm of playing a game,
Right.
so she was interpreting it as a game.
Right.
But the feelings and because of the contact were
Right.
real.
Was more
Because
than
of course
just-
the body
yes.
is made like that. So she said it was like a soldier guarding the gates from thieves who turned his back for a moment, and the thieves entered the gates without his knowledge. The soldier returns to his post confident that his district is safe, unaware that the thieves are devouring the land he was guarding. Yet he proudly stands guard at the gate while the thieves are hidden inside. I went back home, and my mother continued to smother me in her usual overprotective fashion, but that experience lit a fire between my legs that continued to burn unabated.
So that's why the inappropriate touch would not just stay at the level of just a touch. That's why it's different. It went on further to impact this child more than just
Because whatever
Yeah.
her first experience was so enjoyable, she went back for it again and
Right,
again.
right.
Again, that was my first sexual experience, but it fueled a blaze of my sexual desire to uncontrollable levels. I wanted to experience it repeatedly. So she said I would push my own hand in my vagina when I went to sleep, when I was taking a bath. After a while, I could not prevent myself from fondling my private parts. Masturbation became my only means of quenching the fire under my dress. I was 7 and then 8, and the older I got, the worse it became for me. I would do it in school, at home, as if I was compelled to touch myself. And although I felt increasingly guilty, I could not stop. So that's what you were saying earlier.
Yes.
You know that it is wrong,
Right.
but it's almost like the fire is lit, but she doesn't know how to control
Right.
it, because it's almost like the young woman, as this child woke up
Right.
something in
sexual.
her, like the first time, the way she touched her, what she did, kind of woke up a desire that's an uncontrollable desire. And so she said it will be almost instinctively, because I guess she wanted to feel it over and over again. Retrospectively, this was not the beginning of the story. Why did I comply? Why did I stay silent? To unfold the story, I need to go back to my situation at home and explain the dysfunctional relationship between my mom and dad that created the environment for this to happen. Although my mom was overprotective, she also cultivated my inclination to silence.
So
So she's telling her to be silent about that, but she doesn't know that she is teaching her to
it's
be
going to
silent
be a
about
repetition
everything.
of silence in every other thing, in every other area of your life. And so we, even in this circle where we're threshing anxiety and where we're looking at from a biblical perspective, we must underscore also the demonic element as well, right? That's why sexual experience is to be enjoyed within marriage, where it can be continuous, right? But in this case, this child does not have any platform
Right.
to have that continuous, because it's awoken and there is no way to, as you say, quench the thirst.
But almost like this child, this 12-year-old was used to light the fire, and she was gone.
Of course.
Because there was no repetition of this experience with her.
With her
But
again.
of course now she's with herself and is battling this fire. But sooner or later it's going to
Right.
spread
Right.
somewhere else. So shall we
And
continue?
that's the danger of it, because we must underscore the demonic element as well, because it's a setup now to destroy this other one.
Yeah, because this child
right?
must have a really great purpose.
Almost as
Yeah.
if the whole principle of AIDS, you know,
The vampire effect.
it once it comes into you, and Satan knows that. That's why he uses one of the most powerful weapons he used to destroy humans at a very young age, right? All he has to do is just expose you to it. All he has to do is to just have one experience,
One touch, one bite.
touch,
You become a
one
vampire yourself.
induction, right, into that whole dimension. And then, because it is not done in a controlled environment, a godly environment, it
And with
becomes
the mental
Right.
capacity to handle
demons
it.
rush
Yeah.
in, right? Satan rushing in, and we know that sex is one of the doorways. Incest is one of the doorways for demonic infiltration. So now you're adapting a spirit of lust, a spirit of masturbation, right? And of course, you are going to practice that on other people. You're just waiting for opportunities.
Because the fire was lit in the
Fire is a
12-year-old,
thing that
and she's lighting the
consumes.
fire in this one.
Right.
So let's
Once
see
it
what
has a
happens.
combustible
So she went
material.
back to home where her mother was
Right.
overprotective, and she said she hid her scars, her pain, her abuse. She lived a split personality life, and as if the spiritual force that scheduled rape found my home environment suitable for me to be chosen for molestation.
Wow.
So the moment I was allowed out of my mom's eyesight, it grabbed me and injected me with a beast that bit me every day for more than 20 years.
Folks, this is serious, okay? More than 20 years. This is not simple and ordinary, okay? And even those of you who are parents, mothers, fathers, aunts, uncles, whatever, you have to understand that these things are not ordinary, okay? They have extraordinary effects on children, especially when they are introduced too soon, too early into
So the
you know,
mental
it's as if you
capacity
give the
to
child a
handle it.
lollipop. I wouldn't even want to compare it with a lollipop. And the child, every time he wants a lollipop, because it creates dopamine, is the hormone that cause you to like things,
And the sweet,
enjoy things.
yeah, so that the end of
right?
that child become obese
So
because it's sweet.
the enjoyment is what is the hook, right? Not even the sanity, because this is an unsightly, experience, right? This is no way, moral, good and proper, right? But it incites something deeper, right?
So she said, my mom taught me to lie about what was happening at home.
20 years.
But I also learned to lie about how I felt about what I did. She told me not to cry so people would know we were unhappy. But I learned how to protect or to pretend I was okay when I was broken. She made others think we had it all together.
Right.
So I never confessed to her that I was falling apart.
Right.
Jesus, 10 years down the line,
10.
I began to define my sexuality. I realized I was attracted to girls, not boys. It was as if I had a signboard of availability that drew girls in. What started as innocent friendship with my peers quickly led to one sexual encounter after another, intensifying as if there were an insatiable thirst for new and more explosive experiences. It was as if I was possessed by a demon that pushed me to do more outrageous things.
So here,
Can we pause?
yeah, that qualifies what we were saying about this is not normal, this is not ordinary, this has to be demonic. Because you're going
went
now
so
past the pleasure point. You suck the lollipop, it tastes nice. But now you're going as if this is a drug, as if this is some kind of narcotics, right? So you're going after it, and then you're inventing ways now to satisfy this thing.
Yeah, because
right?
it's almost like it's going into deeper water. So
Yeah.
it's like it just started with this experience with our 12-year-old our cousin, and then it was her just interacting with
Masturbating,
herself,
right.
and then it went on to just not. So that defined her experiences. It defined her relationship. It defined, and then she felt that she started to have attraction to girls. Sometimes
Yeah.
even within the body
Yeah.
of Christ,
Yeah.
and you have people who are actually struggling in the church with that experience. That experience. And the thing about it is that who can come and say to someone in the church, oh my God, I feel like I like girls, or I feel like I
Right,
like boys
right,
when I'm a boy,
right.
or I feel like I wanted to have sex in this kind of way or that
Right,
kind of way.
yeah.
Where is the outlet? Where do we find a place, a person, a thought? So
Right.
people suffer these things in silence.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you want to say, girl, you tell her
Yeah.
mother that, she will beat
She'll
you.
beat you.
She want to
Okay,
beat
yeah,
the
I guess some
desire
licks
out
of
of
that.
her.
But what is interesting?
But how do you deal with this as a
well,
mother
What is
anyway?
interesting in this narrative here is that first introduction.
encounter.
Because she does not know the other side, like
Right.
male to male.
Right.
Right. So again, this has far-reaching implications to understand how we get, and even our society has become exposed to same-sex relationship. And we're not saying this in a judgmental way, but to help us understand that it has to be an introduction, right? Because she did not have sex with
Like
a boy,
opening of her
male or
appetite,
female.
so to speak,
She
yeah.
had with a female. So that became her reference point, of course, to attract to females. So, I mean, this could go past the biological excuses we make that we were born this way. We weren't born this way. It is our experiences and our encounter that created the appetite that makes us decide towards a special orientation, right? Sexual orientation. It's what has ignited that in the first place, or where do you get your greatest enjoyment? Like for some people, they don't want to have children, but they just want pleasure. Okay? So if a male goes with a female, then the biological reality is conception, because that's how God wires it. But you don't want conception. That's why you have harlot houses. That's why you have, strip clubs. That's why I have motels, because people just want the next experience. They just want the next encounter. And we understand that we, realize what is the real truth behind homosexuality, for example, or
And some
same-sex
people, if they're
relationships.
being abused by someone else in a bad way,
In a bad way,
right? If it's a
right.
male or female,
Right, you
then they might
gravitate
tend
to
to
the other
gravitate
sex, right.
towards. So sometimes we are so critical. We so, especially the church, we're in such a condemnation mode
Yeah.
without understanding the root cause.
Yeah.
Somebody won't come out and say to you, or maybe they don't even know
Right.
why they feel the way
Right.
they feel. She might have forgotten what happened at 6 and
Yeah.
as an adult, and she just felt
Yeah.
like, the attraction to that person. But I mean, how are we going to say, you don't feel that,
Yes.
and you're
Yeah.
bad, and Sodom and Gomorrah and that sort of stuff, without understanding the root cause of why this person feels. And sometimes if you may get to talk to a person and help them to understand maybe this is why you feel the way you feel. You might get them to think differently about what they do. So let's not be over.
Right. And there must be a narrative.
Right. Over.
With every
There's always a
person,
story behind the
there's
story.
always a narrative. As you say, sometimes they're not even aware of it. Sometimes how you grew up in a house.
While we don't condone
you
it
know,
in a way, but we must
but
get to the bottom
root
of
it,
why
because
somebody would choose
as
something
well,
like
we
that.
do not want it to the culture to continue because, you know, this, I mean, this is just one narrative, but it helps us to broaden our paradigm as to where these things come from.
Right. And root cause again.
Root causes.
I'm very interested in root
I
causes.
think, you
Go
know,
to the
because,
bottom
yeah,
of what
even
actually
as
is happening.
We look at this narrative. We may not have a lot of time left
we probably
again, but we probably have to continue this. But this is very important. We don't want to rush it too much because we can get a better perspective, even us as adults, how we have been cultured. We have to revisit that and all of the things that we think we like and we think we make a decision about. They're not just isolated decisions. They're based on your culture and go back to your family, go back to how you grew up, the sights and sounds of your childhood. Sometimes these are the platform where everything in your life is framed. And we thank God for this book. Again, we want to stick a pin here and say to you that you must have this book, okay? Fallen Princess, Bound Only by Silence, Breaking the chains of sexual violence. And of course, it exposes a marriage of things that are connected to our sexuality and our sexual experiences regarding rape or incest or even things like being pants. Right. We'll
that one I'm interested.
Next time
I really want to look at it. Yeah,
but
because
you must get this book.
Get
a copy of this book. We are discussing chapter number 25 in the book.
And we're not doing it in order. We're just taking
Psalms that we think might come home to you, functioning in your dysfunction. So look, she's functioning as what is it?
As normal in her abnormality,
or when she was already dysfunctional as a child. Okay, and now for 10 years, for 20 years, she's become this other individual. Wow.
And you know, I'm thinking about it in terms of the way our experiences frames us. And I always like to talk, I like chicken wings. And I like the wing part. I don't like the drumstick.
I like the wing part too.
And when I think, I went back to figure, why do I like chicken wings? I like turkey wings. I never like those meaty. And then I found out that when we were growing up, like we get one part. So we either get the chicken wings or the drumstick or the wing part, because our parents couldn't afford to give us a whole chicken or two pieces of chicken. It was one. So I always seek to find, to make sure that I got the wing part, because the wing have two pieces. So it's kind of like a bigger portion. And because of that, it's like I found myself even today having a difficulty choosing a drumstick as opposed to a wing.
But I wonder if it was because of I worked with James Lewis early on, and maybe.
Well, of course, if you had worked with
because
the chicken was
he started off with the country coal.
Yes.
They used to sell like half pound of chicken.
No, this is a half box.
This is a celebration for country coal. You've come a long way,
wholesale,
right?
half box of mechanic.
I mean, you literally take one box. What you call it, box, and cut it up and sell it. You know, maybe,
to the shop,
maybe
who
it has
sell it in
something to do
ounces
with,
and pounds.
The chicken when they cut it up. We have to verify that part. It could be.
Yeah, they usually.
Because I also like the wing part of the chicken.
When I went back, I saw it. It was because they did not.
Well, they had to share.
They have to share. So we had to share. Even
family,
my favorite meal is provision and saltfish. And when we were growing up, we had cabbage and carrot and a hint of saltfish. Jesus. So it's like it's something that's luxury. So then now if I make provision and saltfish, it has to be saltfish and a hint of vegetable.
Right.
So it's like I went the opposite because I like to taste the saltfish in it, because before we had to search one quarter pound of saltfish goes in a whole cabbage.
Folks, we're from the Caribbean. We came grassroots, okay? We know all of the lingos.
You're searching.
How we had to improvise and how the parents had to economize.
Yeah, and that framed how I don't like sweet water, because there we would make juice would have been long, because you have to put like a few fruit and make water long so that everybody can get. So those are the things that now if I make juice,
Right.
it is juice.
Right.
Like I could never have juice that is not juice.
No long water,
You have to taste the whatever the fruit is, you
Yeah.
know. Those are the things. It seems
Yes.
so simple.
Seems so
So what
simple.
if those simple experiences frames our likes, our dislikes, the way we feel about a certain thing? Then that when I was young, I was very afraid of licks. When I had to get licks, it was scandal. I would roll on the ground.
Drama.
I would bawl. The whole village would wake up. So I am not taking any licks. Maybe once. Well, so I say if you get it, you can get it, but
Right.
it won't happen again, you know.
So-
So a lot of the experiences that we have frame the way we
Right.
think about life, the way we think about ourselves, some of the decisions that we make, our likes and dislikes.
Right.
And it seems simple, but if you go back in your
Go
in
back
your
in
life,
your
you can
childhood.
see that the experiences that you have are framed you, whether good or bad, to be the kind of person
Yes.
that you
And
are.
of course, we want to end with maybe some hope for somebody, because this is very important. I find myself very encouraged by this as well, because it helps you to make better decisions around your life, and even to be cautious about how you deal with your children, right? Do not just frame them because you had a bad experience. Make sense out of it, in their time and season, and at the same time using the cautionary measures that will truly keep them safe
And protect them for the
and
right
protect
reason.
them for the right reason, because one child unprotected can become a lethal weapon in the hands of Satan. So how do we wrap this up? I see you had Romans chapter 7.
I wanted to just go back to what she said, is that my mom taught me to lie about what was happening at home, but I also learned to lie about how I felt and what
So it
I
teaches
did.
your character,
She
yeah.
told me not to cry so people won't know that we weren't happy, but I learned to pretend that I was okay when I was broken. She made others think that we had it all together, so I never confessed to her that I was falling apart. I think that
Wow.
is like
That's the crux of
that
the
is
matter.
So while she's protecting her own interests, she's teaching the child. And
Character
if
traits
that
that
child
are-
wasn't taught to be silent, maybe that thing would have been revealed
Right,
the
because
very
then the
first
child
day
would
it
have told.
happened.
So we want to say to children as well, if something like that is happened to you or may have happened to you, don't keep silent, okay? There's a trusted teacher, there is a counselor, there people who you might want to talk to, right? Because this is not normal. This is not a game. This is not childhood experiences that are ordinary for a child to go through. These are experiences that adults are engaged in when they are married. So we want you to speak up. Don't be silent. Don't play the silent game. In fact, in Grenada, we have done a lot better in terms of child abuse. We have really championed the cause for child sexual abuse
A lot
in
is
Grenada,
happening.
but it is still happening behind the curtains, behind the closed doors, in homes and families. But of course, we are sounding the alarm to speak up, because
And I know I want
one
to
child,
encourage the efforts of the
Yes,
social
of
partners
course.
and the community and social
Ministry of Social
development and different persons who are championing the cause, who are trying to make a difference. Because this is like an age-old issue.
Truth.
So obviously it wouldn't go away in one day. But I think the key to the fallen princess is breaking the silence. And as long as we start speaking up, we can make it become normal to speak about it, then persons might be more inclined to speak, and that's where your healing
Yes.
begins. So I think, at the end of the day, we can, encourage persons. We know that persons may be going through difficult times, and they may have had bad experiences, and that maybe you don't know what to do with what was framed inside of you because of what has happened. But we can begin the process. We can begin to speak. We can begin to encourage, begin to let you know that you are not alone, that you may think that you've been through that, nobody else been through it. There's so many other persons. Some have survived. Some have even been healed. So healing is indeed possible. So
of
I know
course,
that's
of
our
course. And if
encouragement.
you're just joining us, you're joining us at the end of the broadcast, but you can still, get your hands upon the recording. Go to YouTube, Hope 103.1 FM or 94.1 FM. And we want to encourage you as well to make that contribution to hope, because to get these good programs on to you, to your children, to the next generation, it takes, finance, it takes money, and you can do it. You can keep Hope FM on the air and programs like the Threshing Flow Helpline on air. So call us, make a donation, make a contribution to the station so that we can continue to bring these good information to you for transformation and wealth. So before we wrap up, again, get yourself hands-on a copy. This should be in every house, right? So that your children will have the luxury of the information contained in it to keep them safe. Fallen Princess, bound only by silence, breaking the chains of sexual violence. We're going to tell you how to get that, Pastor Ruth number. But she's also going to pray for those of you who are out there and you're thinking about what we have said. It resonates to you. You identify with it. Maybe you've had experiences on the negative front. But of course, we want you to be healed and to be restored to wholeness in your life. Pastor Ruth.
Father, we just thank you for your great love and your mercies towards us. Thank you for this program, for Hope 103. Thank you for the Threshing Helpline. So we are able to really express what you want us to say concerning the Fallen Princess and the other ideas that we'll bring across. Father, we pray that the people who are still reeling from experiences of the past, not even understanding the way they are influenced, the things they love, the things they want to do, the things they feel, sometimes not even able to express it. Well, as we begin to go down to the root cause of, as we looked at this young woman who was experiencing like pleasure at first, so deeply, so ingrained, it became part of her very existence, and the years of battling because she kept it in the dark. And those things thrive in darkness. They thrive in dark places. They thrive in places of silence. So we pray, God, that you would help us. Even as we engage week after week, that we will be able to help somebody who's been buried in a past they don't know how to come out to. But God, you came to set the captive free. I heard you said, Lord, to Moses, go and tell Pharaoh, let my people go. Lord, we are declaring the same words that you utter through Moses and through Aaron. Lord, and it seemed like Pharaoh did not want to let them go. Lord, at the end of the day, you said, you will come. You will, in other words, you allow Pharaoh's heart to be hard so that when you would have done it, you obliterated the entire Pharaoh and his host. Well, that's what you want to do, even with, this whole issue of rape and sexual assault. And it seemed like day after day we might be talking about it, and it seemed like, things are not looking like it's changing. It is changing. Lord, it's changing, even if it's one person at a time. And together, as we come together, we pray that that person who's been struggling, who's been battling, who has just discovered, oh, that's why I like that. That's why I felt that way. Oh, that's why this thing is inside of me. That healing and deliverance will come to them, Lord, and at the end of the day, you get the glory and the praise and the honor, and somebody's life is forever changed. We thank you so much. Just as rape and sexual assault had the ability to change people's life, the power of God has the ability to change people's life, and that's what we focus on. Thank you for that person who is watching right now. Do not give up. God got you. He said he will come. He said, I am the Lord that heals you. And healing and deliverance still is possible because Jesus Christ died. He was buried and he came back to life so that we can have life and have it more abundantly. Father, we thank you for your blood, and we pray that you cover the entire nation under your blood. In Jesus' mighty name.
Amen. And folks, if you've just joined us, Threshing Flow Helpline. We've been here for the last hour. Pastor Ruth Roberts and myself, Bishop Esther Baptiste, in studio with you this evening on the Threshing Flow Helpline, where we thresh our anxiety. And we trust that you'll be able to, where you are out there, to get a hold of this book so that you can begin to change your life with the power of God. And of course, good information coming to you. We know. Have the pressures of life stresses got you bogged down and depressed? Have you lost your hope to live purposefully? Are you in distress and life seems meaningless and troublesome? It's time to regain your mental wellness. and receive power to thresh all anxiety. The IPA Threshing Flow Helpline is here for you. Join us on Hope 103.1 FM every other Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. with me, your host, Bishop Esther Baptiste.